All right, this is a video on complex trinomial factoring. So we got a complex trinomial. How do we know it's complex? The value in, there we go. The value in front of the x squared, so like the coefficient in front of x squared, is a number that's not 1. So like 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 2, negative 3, it's not 1. So we know it's complex. So we've got a few different methods, and in this video, I'm going to show you decomposition. All right, so step 1. We got to figure out our numbers. So we're going to multiply this guy and this guy together. So 2 times 12 will give me 24. So now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 24. And I want them to add to 11. So I just try to think of numbers. My strategy is I start with the 24 and I list things like 12 times 2, 8 times 3, 6 times 4, 24 times 1. I just try to think of things that multiply to 24. And then I know both of these numbers are positive. Both these signs are positive. So I know right away the two numbers I'm looking for are going to both be positive numbers. So I want them to add to 11. So I can see 8 and 3 are going to be my numbers. Because 8 times 3 is 24. And 8 plus 3 is 11. So now, next step. So first, we find our numbers. I'm just going to use short form. Second, we are going to replace the middle term with the two numbers that we found. All right, here we go. So 2x squared. Instead of 11x, I'm going to put plus 8x plus 3x, and then I'm still going to keep my plus 12. See how the expression is still the same? Like 11x, and now it's 8 and 3. Like, it's still equal to 11x. So I haven't actually changed anything. One other thing, it doesn't matter what order you put the 8 and the 3. It could be the 3 and then the 8. It will always work out. All right, step 3. Now we have to common factor each part. So we're going to kind of split our equation here, and we're going to common factor each half. So from my first two terms, 2x squared plus 8x, I'm going to look and see, what do they have in common? Okay, they both have an x, so I'm definitely going to factor out an x. And this one has a 2, and this one has an 8. So I think of, what are they both divisible by? They're both divisible by 2. So 2x is going to be my common factor. So let's common factor. So from the first term, 2x squared divided by 2x, I would be left with just an x. So I'm taking a 2x out of 2x squared. My next term, 8x, I'm going to divide it by the thing I'm common factoring. So 8x divided by 2x would just be 4. Right, because my x's would cancel out, and 8 divided by 2 would be 4. And if you're not really sure if you did it right, just take a sec and expand it and see if you get the same thing. So 2x times x would be 2x squared. 2x times 4 would be 8x. Yep, I got the same thing. And then we just erase that. Okay. All right, now we common factor the second half. So now we look at the 3x and the 12, and we think, what could I factor out of 3x and 12? Well, they don't have an x in common, but they are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to write down a plus 3. And what do I have left after I factor out a 3 from 3x? I just have an x. And then 12 divided by 3 would just leave me with a 4, and that's positive. Okay, here's the key. These two things in the brackets, they have to be identical, or else you've done something wrong. So if they're not the same, start over. But mine are the same, so I'm good. So step 4, it's like extreme common factoring. That's what I'm going to call it. Extreme common factoring. So it doesn't look like common factoring, but actually it is. Sorry, that thing was bothering me. Okay, so check it out. We look at it like this. I don't know if this is going to make sense. We look at it like this is one term, and here's another term. What do they both have in common? Well, they both have a giant x plus 4 bracket. So I'm actually going to common factor out an x plus 4 from both terms. So what do I have left? Well, from the first term, I have a 2x. And from the second term, I have a 3, a positive 3, so plus 3. And that, I guess I should be always like putting equal signs. And that is your final answer. X plus 4 times 2x plus 3. And if you want to check it, you could just try expanding your binomials. All right, and that's how you complex trinomial factor with decomposition. So you can stop watching, or you can watch me go through one more example. Okay, so let's say I had I'm just gonna do it 2 again. 2x squared, let's say, I'm gonna make that minus something, minus 9. And then I'll make it (3x). Okay, so I've got 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. And I'm going to do the same method that you just saw me do. So step 1, I'm going to multiply my 2 and my negative 9 together, and I'll get negative 18. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to negative 18. And then I need those numbers to add to negative 3. Just pop those in brackets. Okay, so I'm going to list everything that multiplies. I'm just going to do 18 for now. So 18 times 1, 6 times 3, 9 times 2. That's all I got. And then I know, since they multiply to a negative number, I know one of those numbers has to be negative. And then they're going to add up to a negative number. So I'm guessing the bigger number is going to be negative. So I'm just going to make the bigger number negative in all my examples here. And we want to see if any of them will add up to negative 3. So I can already see, if I have negative 6 plus 3, that will equal negative 3. So that's my numbers. So second step, I'm going to replace my middle term with the 2 numbers that I just found. So 2x squared minus 6x plus 3x minus 9. Okay, next, I'm going to split it, and I'm going to common factor each half. So what are these both divisible by? They're both divisible by 2, and since they both contain an x, they're both divisible by x. So after I common factor out a 2x, my first term, I would just have an x left. My second term, I would have a minus 3 left. Okay, next one. What can I common factor from 3x and 9? So they're both divisible by 3, so I'm going to go with plus 3 as my common factor. They both don't have an x, so I can't do an x. So after I divide by 3, from the first term, 3x, I would just have an x left. And the second term, negative 9 divided by 3, would be negative 3. Okay, check it out. My brackets are identical. So I'm going to common factor out my x minus 3's. And all I have left is this 2x plus 3. So like from this term, once I factored out an x minus 3, I just have a 2x. And from this term, once I factor out an x minus 3, I just have a plus 3. Just be careful, like that's the end. But be careful of this sign here. Just be careful. I never did an example where this is the minus sign here. but you could run into some difficulty. So just giving you a warning. Like, wait, you know what? If you're still watching. Let's say I set this up differently and I did like plus 3x minus 6x minus 9. When I common factor, so for my first two terms, all I can common factor out is an x. So I'd be left with 2x plus 3. And then for my second two terms, they're both divisible by 3. So because there's a minus sign right here, I'm going to factor out a minus 3. But then here's where the tricky part is. So negative 6x divided by negative 3 would be positive 2x. And then negative 9 divided by negative 3 would be positive 3. So just be careful like of your signs. Like when you factor out a negative, just be careful. Really pay attention to your signs. So then my final answer here, after I factor out 2x plus 3, I would have x minus 3. So you see, you get the same answer. Doesn't matter what order the brackets are in. All right, and that's decomposition.